Welcome to the Henderson Show. My name is Gregory fan. This is my right-hand man.
Uptown Waller. What's going on, DC fans?
You know how we do. Recapping the Washington Wizards versus Portland Trailblazers game tonight. Playing at home, trying to get some home cooking, get back in the win column. We're dealing with a tough day today in Washington, D.C. Washington Redskins took an L, but to make matters worse, we lost our starting quarterback.
Oh, man, it was a rough one today for our quarterback, Alex Smith. The injury kind of reminded me of Joe Theismann back in the 80s. But we are wishing a speedy recovery and wish you the best, man.
Big time.
But now it's time for a Colt 45, baby.
Colt McCoy. Let's do it, man. All right. So we were looking forward to this game, right? 6 o'clock start, hoping to get a good brand of basketball, get back on the winning side of things. Playing a tough Portland Trailblazers team that's coming in as the 4th ranked team in the NBA power rankings, boasting a record of 10-5. The Wizards coming in with a record of 5-10. So, right now these teams are going in the opposite directions, but hey, we got them at home. Let's get this W. Let's do this, right? What we going to do?
Lose, get blown out, and look bad, and let our bench players outplay the starters. That's what we're going to do tonight.
Pitiful effort, just completely despicable, and keyword embarrassing. Just a terrible product they put on the floor tonight. The whole city should be embarrassed at the effort that the Washington Wizards put on the floor. And I feel sad for the fans that went there to support the team tonight. Down by 20 points in the first quarter. The starters who were supposed to come in and set the tone really laid an egg. And if you look at the starting lineup from start to finish, from top to bottom, they're behind in the plus minus, every last one of them. John Wall, Bradley Beal, our 2 all-stars, often boast as the top backcourt in the NBA, as they proclaim. Really got outplayed big time tonight by Damian Lillard and C.J. McCollum. So Wall poured in 24 points respectively. Bradley Beal poured in 12, which is really below his scoring average, while Lillard scored a game-high 40 points, and C.J. McCollum brought in a very respectable, backing him up with 25.
Exactly.
So let's look at the rest of our starting lineup. Otto Porter, 13 points. Not much production there. Markieff Morris had 3 points and 3 rebounds in 19 minutes. Just a really, really pitiful production. And then Dwight Howard, to bring up the rear, only scored 2 points with his gluteus maximus issues because he's in astronomical pain.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, starters didn't do a job, put us in a big hole in the second quarter. Our bench players tried to make a run. I think we went on a 15-0 run, brought the game back to respectability, gave us some hope. But then halftime came. Scott Brooks gave his halftime speech, and our starters came out and did what they typically do in the third quarter.
Stink the place up.
Got back down by 25 to 30 points in the third quarter. Once again, giving up easy layups, leaving people open for wide open threes, allowing easy backdoor cuts, fouling at a rapid rate. Portland was in the penalty very early in every quarter. Players were in foul trouble, which means we didn't have our best players on the floor for most of the time. Scott Brooks was scrambling, trying to fill rotations. So it was just an ugly game. It was very frustrating to watch, really hard to watch. It was almost like I had to grab an ibuprofen every quarter just to deal with the pain. All right. Looking at our head coach, who obviously had to stand on the sidelines and witness this, I really feel bad for him. But he's getting paid $5 million a year. $7 million a year. So he really can't make any excuses about how he's feeling. So let's look at his post-game press conference. He made some comments, obviously highlighting the lack of effort that the starters came in with, and really threw some big shots at them, some shotgun shots at them, as far as how he felt about their performance, saying that you cannot win if you don't compete in this league, and you will lose if you don't compete. So he's speaking directly to the starters because, as Waller mentioned, the bench players really came in and played well. Kelly Oubre came in with 19 points off the bench. We got a strong performance from Santorowski, who really led the charge. Austin Rivers gave us some energy and excitement.
The rookie.
And Troy Brown got 9 minutes today in the fourth quarter. Sad to see him come in when we, trying to climb back up from a 20-point lead. But it was nice seeing him get the experience. It was nice that he was in the lineup that made a run. That's going to build some confidence with the kid.
And more importantly, the bench players brought energy. They brought effort.
Right.
They wanted to play. They wanted to compete. The starters are completely opposite.
Just it seems like the starters don't care, man. I mean, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the big salaries in their pockets, but they're not coming out with any sense of urgency. For us to have a 5-11 record and for them to give that much of a lackadaisical effort, it's really got me questioning the starters. But it also has the light shining on our head coach Scott Brooks. Obviously, he's not happy, but you have to look at who he is and what he brings to the table as your head coach. We picked him up 2 years ago off the street. He was sitting at home watching SportsCenter. Nobody was really coming after him. We decided to give him this big $35 million deal over 5 years. Why? The answer still remains to be seen. He really doesn't have the resume to make that much money. There's a lot of coaches around the league that are making far less, that have way more production and have had far better seasons. So, press conference. He mentioned the fact that he wants to shake things up, that he's not going to put the same 5 players out there that are not giving him the effort that he expects. So, where's the change? Can you take Morris out of the starting lineup? Not really giving you much lately. Can you possibly put Otto in at the power forward and go a little bit smaller, maybe putting Oubre into the starting lineup, or possibly Jeff Green, who's been playing well?
And one thing that was said earlier from a former player, Jared Dudley, he mentioned that the Wizards' time was over, meaning the front court, because he played here a few years, with the Wizards back then, and he knew that you only give your team 2 or 3 years to try to get a championship. Once, the nucleus doesn't work, you break it up. They've had more than 3 years, way more than 3 years. And like I said, it's in the paper. You see it. He says, hey, they've had their time. The chemistry's not working. It's time to break it apart. And that's someone that actually was in the locker room with these guys. So, when you're starting to see this from players from outside, you got to really take heed to it. So I'm hoping Ernie, will go and call some teams and try to make some deals. But we're pretty sure that ain't going to happen.
That's on a wish and a prayer. Yeah. All right, 15 years of not doing it. I'm not going to expect him to do anything now. It's a great point you bring up about Jared Dudley's comments. He also spoke about the fact that the team probably needs to be blown up. Our core, Otto, Beal, and Wall been playing together for at least 5 years now. Yeah. And you see a kind of a steady decline. Yeah. And although I don't expect Brumfield to do anything, I just don't have any history that tells me he will. I do expect Scott Brooks to make some changes because he's coming under fire now, and he's been singing this, I'm going to shake the lineup up for a lot of games now, and the reporters are going to start calling him on it. So let's see if he can make some changes pretty soon.
And see, the thing that Dudley reached on as well was the fact that they're still playing the 2 big game. Like Porter being a 3 should stretch and play the 4 so that you can space the floor and get that big man out of the paint. That's what it does. When we're still playing this old school ball in a new school type era of the NBA, it's not working. And the numbers and the wins and losses are showing.
The question is Scott Brooks the man that can make these changes and can implement them and have the team execute?
No.
He doesn't have a good history of that. I mean, Scott Brooks comes from the Oklahoma City Thunder that taunted 3 MVPs, all right, and still got the boot. Yeah. So what does that tell you? He didn't have enough coaching ability to galvanize that team into a team that was a perennial winner. I mean, you come in with 3 MVPs as a coach, you feel blessed. Yeah, I mean, you think you're going to win championship after championship and have your name in the coaching Hall of Fame. But this guy got the boot because he wasn't able to do that. Yeah. And so to bring him here and think that he's going to do that with a lineup that is not as talented, not as superior, is really asinine and not a recipe for success.
Yeah, agreed.
So let's look ahead. We're going to dry our tears and look ahead to the next game and see if we can't get a W against a tough LA Clipper team. Now, I would want to say that this was our worst game of the year, but we actually played worse against the LA Clippers a few weeks back. We lost by 32 points, 134 to 102, one of the worst defensive efforts I've ever seen in a Wizards uniform. And to make matters worse, this team is coming in on a 4-game winning streak. So they're playing extremely well right now. They're sitting number 4 in the Western Conference, which is a very good conference. And so this team is really balling. And they don't have a lot of all-stars. You got Tobias Harris, who's averaging 20 points a game. Gallinari, who's averaging close to 20 points a game, who can shoot his lights out. And last but not least, 6th man of the year, Lou Will, who's also averaging close to 20 points a game.
You should pick some of them up. That's what we need. We need some stuff like that, some shooters.
That 3-headed monster is going to be tough to beat. We do have them at home. This is our last game on the homestand, so it's going to be interesting to see how we come out. Scott Brooks is going to have to light a fire under these starters, man. They're going to have to come in and set the tone early on. It's their job. They're getting paid pretty handily for it. So I expect Bradley Beal and John Wall to really take this loss personally and to come back next game like gangbusters and to get a W against the LA Clippers.
They should start the bench.
All right.
Also, they should start the bench, bro.
Catch us on Tuesday, Wizards versus Clippers. Tune in for post-game coverage. You only get it here, the best coverage on the East Coast, the Henderson Show. Please make sure you like the page. Please make sure you subscribe. Show your love. DC forever. We love you guys. Peace out.
Go Wizards, go Redskins, go Nats, go Caps, DC United. DC, let's go.
Let's go.
That one wasn't bad.